Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. James, go ahead.
Hey guys, the hearts of USA men and women have had an isolationist policy since Dub 2. The normal people like us. Hearts of USA men and women rightly had a beef with a lot of unnecessary wars between them. I was against Iraq at the beginning and still am, right? Like, why do you have to rebuild it? It's just money making for like BlackRock and all that crap, right? And Vietnam looked like a scam. I wasn't alive during Vietnam, but it looks like a total scam, right? But Iran is different, right? We had a fatwa against President Trump in 2025, and I'm not sure if you know what happens when your country calls for the execution of another country's leader by your people inside that country, like your sleeper cells. Sleeper cells activate and kill that man. That's a declaration of war, right? Iran declared war on the United States in 2025, and a lot of people weren't paying attention. And if you're really looking paying attention, back in 1998 when Hong Kong went sovereign, China started pouring a lot of money into our eternal state, like our Hollywood, our politicians, our judges. And we know all about that, right? It's bad. They're fighting a war. It's World War III. When World War III started, you don't know, but we're fighting back, right? So we had a policy for 50 years against Iran to starve out their oil. We figured we charted when they would run out of money, and then their global terrorism, would be weakened. So that's what 50 years ago, around the 70s, late 70s. Um, and that was the policy. That was the policy of every president when it was founded up until Joe Biden and Obama, who started just shoveling them cash. Obama gave him $1.7 billion, you remember, and the State Department was really upset with Obama. Obama had illegal meetings at Iran. A lot of people uh, think of what he's done there, and then once again, Biden gave them money, right? Right when we're suffering, where we're getting inflation, Biden's giving them money. Why is Biden selling them money? Why did Biden actually use our entire strategic oil reserve, which was there to starve out Iran? It was like the last days. These are the last days we were supposed to get the death knell in Iran with their policy of starving them out. And he's bringing Iranians in here, giving them money. They're the homeless veterans on the street, and we're putting these Iranians up in five-star hotels, giving them all our money. We're giving them money directly to Iran. We're giving we're giving the whole kit and caboodle, right? And so we enslaved ourselves to OPEC. I called it in 2018. I have like posts on my X in 2019 saying they're going to send a bunch of illegal terrorists in here, and they're going to flood our borders with them, right? So, and the danger is, okay, this is a slam dunk war. Okay, this is a slam dunk war. You take out the targets you got, you don't try and rebuild them, right? So for 50 years, Iran sent hell to Sudan, Libya, Chad, Ethiopia, Somalia. Anytime they get money, they send a truck with bombs and guys, brainwashed guys with guns saying, "Hey, the West is the problem. Go kill everybody who's not a Muslim, enslave them. They're your slaves. You're allowed to have sex with those women if they're infidels." And they bring handcuffs, flamethrowers, and bullets. Over 20 million people, about 20 million people over 50 years, were killed, enslaved, or sent to China to have the organs harvested by Iran. Iran starves Yemen. They starve Yemen in order to make what is it, toy soldiers, right? When you're dumb and stupid, you just take the money and go and fight. So Iran's committed a crazy amounts of atrocities over the past 50 years. But because the hearts of men and women like ourselves, a lot of us are peace-loving hippies. I mean, a lot of people are peace-loving Christians. We don't want to fight a war. I don't want to fight a war, but these guys have been left alone so long. They've caused so much damage. They've destroyed people's lives. Like people dying in cages of flames. You saw people getting dismembered, living their rest of life without their family or the limbs, or just being a slave for the rest of their life, just taken into like a dungeon. So Iran's committed atrocities of incredible amounts over 50 years. Recently, their own people was asking for revolution, so they just mowed them down. Like I think about 30,000 people got mowed down by Iranian leadership. Iranians are actually celebrating the bombs and stuff that Trump's sending because America is sending liberation, the chance for these people to be free, right? So people should be excited to see Iran go. It's like removing a cancer from your body. It might make you sick for a little bit, but you should celebrate this, right? So like I said, the danger is, I mean, this could be not a clean war. The danger is actually a blessing too. If they activate sleeper cells in the United States, which is possible, then the dummies that in America think these Islami guys are the best will all of a sudden be like, wow, They are the bad guys. So if Iran makes the choice to activate sleeper cells, that's it. The gig's up. You can't put the cat back in the bag. So Trump's banking on that. Trump's banking that the Iran's going to make the mistake and activate some sleeper cells. Then all of a sudden, Minnesota is going to look like a hellhole that it actually is, right? No one's going to say Mogadishu up in in Minnesota is a good thing anymore when they realize they're bringing them in to destroy us from the inside. They got Madami here. He's going to be shipping. He's going to call it a safe state. You can go hide there. In case you do some bad stuff, you go hide there. And he's going to import a lot of Islamic terrorists in there. These guys are suicide bombers. They're going to stuff the ballots. They're going to put 100 million ballots. They don't care. They're willing to die for their cause. They kill you. They're going to do it. And Islam is that way. It's found on Muhammad. Islam is found on Muhammad, who went from village to village pillaging them. He said, "Join me, or I'm going to kill you." And then what he do is he kill everybody inside, take their stuff, rape the women, move on to the next village. He grow an army, and this is not really a religion. It's more of a cult. It's like a Viking, but he grabbed more and more followers and went around. He got this huge party of people, right? So if you know what's going on in Europe, and you should know what's going on in Europe, there's like rape gangs in there by Islam, and what they do is they weaponize the police against their own people, because Islam operates just like South American drug lords. And everybody pay really good attention here, because you think America can't fall, and this is how America could fall if Trump doesn't make these actions. Drug lords and Islam works in the same way. They make the politicians afraid of the Islam or the gangs. And if you don't do what you say, hey, we live with your family, our friends are your friends, our kids play with your kids, and all of a sudden that's a captured entity. If they don't take the bribes, they're going to take the threats, and eventually your whole country will get conquered. That's how they conquered Italy, they conquered Spain, they conquered Germany, they conquered France, they conquered England, and now who's in charge of those? Islam is in charge of most of Europe except Poland, who didn't let them come in. This is very important. This is World War III. The number one baby name in Britain is actually Muhammad. Muammar Gaddafi said, "We do not have to defeat the Americans' army. We just have to outbreed them by defeating their democracy," right? So you have to understand this is different, and it's very important that Trump goes through with his plans here. And like Sergey said, this is showing China not to make a move on Taiwan. And while economic stuff's less important, if China gets Taiwan, they'll have like basically a stranglehold on the whole world. You see the prices of memory and GPUs are right now. That'll go up by like tenfold, 30-fold. You might not even be able to own a computer at home. And that goes along with all the censorship they're trying to put in video games and so forth. But I'm gonna drop the mic. I've been studying this stuff for a solid 40 years, and I can't believe they let Iran go this far.
Yeah. Well, I want to point out one thing you said, that the sleeper cells may be coming again. To whatever extent they have sleeper cells, and certainly with the open borders, it's a lot of possibilities there of people we don't know about that are in the country waiting for some signal. And I'm guessing this would be a signal, even if the Iranian government didn't say anything. It might be enough for those cells to say now's the time. So I would just advise everyone, be careful. You might want to stay away from big public gatherings. Anything that would be a potential terrorist target right now, because they may be looking to retaliate any way they can. And I know we've done a lot with Kash Patel and others to try and round up anybody that we identified as a potential terrorist coming from Iran or related places. But there's probably a lot that got through without any detection. And so to me, there's certainly some odds. I hope it doesn't happen. But there's some odds of a terrorist attack in the United States. And so just be careful, watch what's going on around you, and watch out for your friends and family. And I'm not going to any big public gatherings right now, because I just don't think that would be wise. And hopefully this will be over soon, and we won't have to worry about that much. But if it does happen, I wouldn't be surprised if we did have some kind of martial law or massive National Guard deployment. I don't know that anyone would object, even in the blue states, if it was in response to an Iranian terror attack. Again, I certainly hope it doesn't happen, but I think the response would be very different if it did, because it would be more like a 9/11 situation. And it probably would be a mistake on Iran's part, but at this point, I don't know that there are any outs for them. So that's why it's dangerous, is because it's kind of like there's no. I mean, the best situation might be if the Ayatollah got out of the country, that he might be able to live. in exile. That would be like the very best possible outcome for him. But I think the mullahs are done, and Trump has very much signaled there's no going back from this. So if there was any retaliation ready to go or planned, I think now would be the time that they would try and trigger all of that, because you know, they don't really have any other options. It would be kind of a now or never situation for them. So, um, just be careful out there, and we'll have to see how this all evolves. But I think certainly I would hope that people are on heightened alert when they're in the major cities and at any stadiums or any other events that are going on. Um, might be fortunate that we're done with the Olympics for the most part at this point, and we don't have the World Cup happening yet. So, but that may be the next potential target. So we'll have to see how that goes. All right, thanks. Veterans, go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, everyone. My name is Shonda. James, thank you for your insight. I appreciate listening to you and hearing, your perspective on where we've come from and where we are today. Here, I just want to take a moment, and I am very spiritual. I'm an extremely spiritual woman. I believe, without God, just we as a country. I would like to just offer up a prayer to our families. Heavenly Father, we come before you today as families, friends, and neighbors, bound together by love for those who serve in uniform. We lift up every son, daughter, mother, father, sister, brother, spouse, and friend who is on active duty across our United States and around the world, wherever they are stationed on land, at sea, or in the air. We ask for your divine protection over them in times of conflict and uncertainty. Be their shield and their refuge. Guard their minds from fear, their bodies from harm, and their spirits from weariness. Please give their leaders wisdom, clarity, and restraint. Let courage be steady, not reckless. Let strength be anchored in honor. For those families gathered here and those watching from afar, calm their anxious hearts. When the news feels heavy, bring peace that surpasses understanding. When nights feel long, bring rest. And when distance feels unbearable, please remind us that love travels farther than any deployment. We pray for unity in our nation, that even in disagreement, we would not forget compassion. May we support our service members not only with words, but with action, care, and gratitude. Lord, please, we pray you bring swift resolution here where there is conflict. Protect the innocent, guide decisions towards justice and mercy. And when our loved ones return home, may they return safely, whole in body, mind, and spirit. Until that day, hold them in your hands. Thank you for the microphone, Owen. I'm the founder of a nonprofit working for our veteran and active duty military all
Hmm.
over the world. It's extremely important to me that these men and women understand that they have love, they have community, they have people that care about them everywhere. America, the great. Please, Lord, be with our president. Protect him and his family. All I can say is that this platform is it's an incredible tool to unite, share opinions, and grow, learn from each other. My platform that I've honored military families with is designed to memorialize honor. Look at it like a Facebook for transitioning service members. They can build an account, talk about highlights of their career. We have a vet chat page, which is like Reddit. It's exclusively for veterans, though. They can discuss anything on their mind. This network is really, it's all free. As a nonprofit, I feel we are not political. We're not giving alcohol, gambling, or gimmicks away. We're focusing on honor, connection, resources, and legacy. This is what we're about. For the civilians in this room, this is your place as well. Our app, Veterans Memorial News, if you have a son, daughter, spouse, parent, friend, this is a way for you to celebrate them, support them, and keep their story alive. Thank you, veterans. If you are listening, You've earned more than a thank you for your service. You deserve the community, the visibility, and an opportunity to connect with the people that love you. Everything we do is free for the military, always. If you want to check us out, please go over, download our app in the Apple or Google Play. It is Veterans Memorial News, or our website is vmnews.us. We're building a digital home for America's military community, and we'd love for you to be a part of us. God bless you, Owen.
All right.
Thank you for the mic, sir.
Thanks, Shauna. Yeah, I mean, I echo a lot of what you say in terms of it's a good time to be supporting the military and the military families around you. I'm sure there's a lot of really anxious spouses and parents and brothers and sisters and that are worried about their family members that are deployed, and they really are at risk. They're maybe in an aircraft carrier or some kind of plane, or in some cases they might get deployed directly to Iran. I mentioned before, I don't expect a lot of troops on the ground, but I don't know how we could do what Trump just said we're doing without troops on the ground. So I would expect we are putting people on the ground at some point to, manage the situation and take the important targets, and best case to, take prisoners from the IGRC and military and police that were aligned with the Iranian government. But I don't see how it could be even an orderly victory without some American presence on the ground, which means all those people are at risk. And so, I think we should be praying for those people and giving them all of our support. And I think this is probably the most significant conflict we've had in many years, really, in terms of taking on a power that really could fight back um, in a significant way. I know they've already launched a bunch of missiles. I don't think they've done very much, so that's fortunate. But you don't know what's still to come. And I've often thought more recently with all the drones and everything else that any kind of naval asset is just a sitting target. You can't really move an aircraft carrier very quickly. I know we've done a lot to give them defensive capabilities, but I don't know how effective they are in terms of taking out a swarm of drones or swarm of missiles. And so all of those people that are deployed over there are certainly facing a lot of potential risk as a target while they're over there. But hopefully, with overwhelming force, we can take out all the counter attack capabilities really quickly, and essentially disable everything that needs to be disabled. I know the Iron Dome has already been pretty effective with the counterattacks to Israel. From what I've seen in the early stories, they've taken down a bunch of the missiles coming from Iran, and they've, the ones that didn't were ones that went to the open areas where they weren't really hurting anybody. There might have been one minor injury, but I haven't seen much in terms of that. But I mean, Trump mentioned in his speech this morning that there could be casualties, and so I think he's recognizing that risk, and saying you need to be ready for that. And, so I don't know that this is necessarily going to be able to be a casualty-free conflict. I hope it is, but I think the odds are probably against it. So let's give our support to the veterans and to the warriors that are over there, and wish them the best in terms of getting home safely. All right, thanks. Let's go to Jean and then Perseus.
Oh, hey. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Just a few thoughts. When James said Iran's been at war with us since 2025, really, it's been since 1979. They've been openly at war with us, and there have been operations. It's not us going to war with them. It's us finally paying attention. And China, incidentally, has been openly at war with us, openly, since the 2019 declaration of a people's war. I just wanted to agree with Owen, and I think somebody else said about the terror possibility. Hopefully, we've degraded their capabilities, but I just want to let you know about something you guys might want to look into. There's something called Hezbollah Unit 910. That's Hezbollah's Unit 910. Although we think of Hezbollah as Lebanon, they're basically funded by Iran. They're basically Iranian. And Unit 910 is their Black Ops Special, Gray Ops Special Operations Force for Iran to do stuff around the world with plausible deniability. Anyway, they're their main terror unit abroad. And let's see. So look into Hezbollah Unit 910. Todd Bensman did
You know,
some reporting on that.
it's a big question
And
mark in my mind what Hezbollah is going to do to respond, because I did see a statement recently which kind of surprised me that said Hezbollah said they would sit this one out as long as it was a limited strike.
whoa, that's
But
awesome.
they said as long as it's a
Um,
limited strike. So this is not what I would categorize as a limited strike. And
yeah,
so, you know, that puts the ball back in Hezbollah's court. Like, what are they going to do? Because I think
yeah,
it probably is the end of their Iranian support. And so if they were going to try and resist, now would be the time to try and scare Americans into saying we shouldn't have done this or whatever. And so they
yeah.
may be thinking now's the time to do our thing. And I think Israel already did a preemptive strike on Lebanon to try and degrade their
Yes.
capabilities. So maybe they can't really do much. But to the extent they can, and to the extent they do have these black ops cells deployed, they may be making use of them. And could be in Europe, could be in America, could be elsewhere. So
Mhm.
everyone should be careful no matter where you are. But anybody that you think Iran would consider an enemy country is probably in a state where they should be at heightened alert and being careful about where they go and what's around them.
Yeah, and supposedly these units are highly compartmentalized and they're used to like operating without direct supervision. Another thought I want to say, although James was saying like it was talking about how we might see the real face of Islam. Islamic terrorists do tend to want to go, yeah, it was me. But if there's something that's, I'm no expert at this, I just do a lot of reading. But if there's something that's done, even terrorism to the grid or something, we probably wouldn't know who it's coming from. Um, and any Russian or Chinese uh, special operators or units that would mess something up, they would probably seek, from what I've read, to confuse us as to who was actually responsible. So this might be a time that others would take advantage, something to keep in mind. Um, I just read something that's actually about 3 hours old that you were talking about, Owen, about how Iran had bombed some people. They bombed about like 5 other Arabic countries.
Hmm.
They only succeeded in killing one guy accidentally with rubble. But they did succeed in making all these countries issue statements of support for the US. So I don't know, they could be trying to attack all kinds of other countries besides in Europe and America. Um, and an interesting book to read that is a real quick read and has to do with it's basically after October 7th. Kurt Schlichter thought, gee, what if something like that happened in America? And quickly wrote a book called The Attack. It's The Attack by Kurt Schlichter. Um, he's ex-military. He has it's not so much to do with sleeper cells, but more to do with people who came in over the border. And it's an interesting thought exercise. It's done like an oral history. The Attack by Kurt Schlichter. And last thing I wanted to say is I read, but I'm not certain that the Iron Dome is actually our technology. So that's kind of interesting. So anyway, those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, the Iron Dome, I'm not really sure the history behind that. Certainly it's deployed
Yeah.
over there. And then I think recently we bought some, or we're in the process of buying some. And it does seem like it's an incredible technology, but I think it's also getting to the point where it might be becoming obsolete with all the drone swarms and things.
Yeah.
Which
If
It's
they can
based on the Patriot missile system,
Yeah, okay.
the Iron Dome.
if they can overwhelm it, yeah, that's a
Well,
problem. I see your point.
it's
Totally.
just I think each missile is really expensive, right? And they can't be made in high volume.
Yeah.
So
It's
I think that's
sorry, go
that's
ahead.
probably why we're investing so much in starting to test our lasers to shoot down drones. There was a story recently, maybe an embarrassing one, that we apparently shot down our own drone. That was a border patrol drone in Texas, and then they
Oops.
shut down all the airspace again because of that. But
Oh, okay, that's what that was.
Yeah, but to me, it's just a signal that we're taking it very seriously. That we need to have defensive drone capability, counter drone capability,
Yeah.
and
Thank God for Palmer Lucky.
yeah, and I think I'm guessing the laser seems to be the solution that everyone's going to for that, because it is
Hmm.
so much cheaper per shot and more renewable.
Yeah.
You don't, you just need electricity really. You don't have to.
It's renewable. It's green.
Mhm. Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, I mean,
least of our worries.
you could certainly frame it that way. But I think, to me, it's just more the economics. I mean, that's what
Yeah, I know.
I think. I think that was one of our strategic mistakes in the last couple decades was we moved more and more towards these massive, really expensive military solutions where, suddenly we're spending billions of dollars to build a plane or billions of dollars to build a ship or something, and talking about how lethal it's going to be. But it's like that's one asset that you can only build maybe one a year or one every couple of years or something. And um or just it's more in the dozens at the most that you're going to produce.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, that's the direction the military went. Instead of just making lots of 155 millimeter shells, we'd get these smart missiles and these ICBMs and just really expensive technologies. And
Yeah, like, okay, go ahead.
well, I'm just and it probably didn't matter until drones came about, where they're really cheap and effective enough that they can overwhelm in large numbers anything really.
Hmm.
I mean, there's no, I don't know that we could really stop hundreds or thousands of drones being lobbed at a target. And that may not even be true with lasers, but at least you'd have more of a fighting chance because it is relatively fast at targeting and shooting. And maybe with enough of those, you might be able to do it. And those might be expensive too, but at least they have that defensive capability where they could potentially give us a shield over a certain area. And um, I don't think we necessarily have the perfect solution yet, but I think it's better than nothing. And I'm glad we're working on it.
Yeah.
And I think we should also be working more than we have been with places like Anduril to develop our own drone technology, maybe hopefully just as a deterrent to say, if you do that to us, we're going to do it even worse to you. And so you
Yeah.
better not. That would be my hope.
Um, hopefully it looks like we are. You mentioning just shells.